Greetings, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone from the US, from the UK, Europe, Asia, Middle East. And thank you for joining in. Really excited to be here today. And this is a day in the life of a cyber incident investigator. Really excited because I'm going to share a live demo with you. I've got a cyber incident professional who is going to show you what we do when an incident hits us. And welcome those who don't make it. Obviously, you can look at this post the event, but do stay with us. There is some really exciting stuff you're going to learn about many different aspects of how do you manage an incident, what happens in the day in the life of a cyber incident investigator. So moving on, do remember to keep this interactive. Ask any questions. We will try to answer as many questions as we can, and you can also always communicate with us after the webinar. So moving straight on, normally what I do, I'm known for this, I do alternative titles to keep it exciting, but also to give you a bit of insight into what I am thinking and what problems we are trying to resolve with this particular webinar in this case. And as we can see here, I'm a vegetarian, but this is the only image that comes to mind is I'm a practicing CISO. I have been in many different CISO positions, and one common theme is an organization that is not ready, in the face of an incident. They have a lot of people running around like headless chickens when there is an incident. And remember, this may not be an attack, okay? So this is, I know hopefully all of you are chuckling. A couple of other house rules. If there is a fire, please, run. You can come back and watch the webinar. But keep your focus otherwise on this. The other really interesting one is, and I've been in this situation before, a techie, and I used to be very technical, folks, but the techie calls up the CIO and says, hey, we are under a complex, and they'll use a complicated technical word, attack. We are under attack. And the CIO will go, oh no, get everybody on the call right now. I mean, how many of you here, hopefully some of you have been on a audio bridge with 20 different people speaking 20 different accents in English? I have at 11 o'clock in the night, at 12 o'clock in the night, and it's very painful. One simple example, in this particular thing, there was a DNS attack and on a DNS, and actually no one had checked if the production website was still running. So there was nothing wrong. There was an attack, but there was no context to the attack. No one had any procedures on what to do during a DNS attack. So remember, for the audience, if you want to share anything, please do fill in the question section and I will read them out. If you want to give your name, it'll be brilliant. And what it says over there, CISO's face when he hears people calling him to join an audio bridge with 20 or 50 people on the same call. So a quick introduction for those who don't know me. I'm on the left. I'm very popular with blue turban. That's the only color I wear. I'm the CEO and founder of Cyber Management Alliance. And I have on my right, or on your screen right, Stephen Ditmore. He's going to be joining me from DF Labs. Steve, I know you're on the call. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Excellent. So I'm going to get Steve involved with a live demo of what we do, even at Cyber Management Alliance. And what we are going to show you is something really exciting about what happens during our day when we have a cyber attack or an incident, okay? So this is a quick summary of what we are going to do. Please do keep the questions coming in. In this case, I may not interrupt Steve. I normally do interrupt the co-presenter to answer questions, but because this is a live demo, I want everyone to focus in on the demo and then start asking questions, okay? So moving forward, and what Steve is going to solve, and the problem is, we had talked about the headless chicken, but also the other issue that I want all of you to relate to, hopefully, is if we catch something when it's small, hopefully we can catch it when it's a small issue rather than a really big problem that can, today and in the future, I'm going to mention GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. I'm sorry, I have to do it because GDPR is going to cause a significant problem for organizations in terms of incident response, amongst many things. And the key issue here is our objective must be to how can we respond successfully in a consistent manner, in a structured manner, in a repeatable manner, okay, to any incident before it becomes a real big problem for the organization and people get sacked, and people start to lose their jobs. So what we're going to focus on now is I'm going to get Steve, not yet Steve, don't click on that share yet, but Steve is going to give us a live demo of Inkman, which is like an incident manager from DF Labs. The reason I'm sharing this is I use this product for my training when I do cyber incident planning and response training, but I also use this product myself and also with customers. So it's a product, it's a demo of how and what happens during an incident. And the objective is to how do you try to avoid this incident phase, right? How do you avoid the headless chicken issue? But most importantly, and this is a bit of fun here, but actually how do you empower the human, okay? The security analyst, how do you make it a superwoman, a superman? How do you empower them? How do you give them the tools, the information and the necessary approach that they respond to incidents in the right manner so that you can save money, but also you can actually empower your humans and make the security analyst job more interesting. Without too much ado, the final objective must be how do you lower your response rate? Detection, yes, but if you can't respond, if you are running around like a headless chicken or multiple chickens, then you have an issue. And this term that I have picked up from someone I know very well, Mr. Fowler, I'm going to call you out briefly, is how do you force multiply, okay? How do you take what you have and multiply that knowledge without significant effort? Those are some really interesting objectives for any organization moving forward. I mean, everyone knows incidents are not going to go down, they're only going to go up. So I'm going to go without too much ado. Steve, if you click on the screen share now, and folks, please pay attention. We're going to go into a demo, and I'm going to start by introducing this demo, and then Steve will obviously take over. This is what, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what an analyst who works with us and for us, or in any other organization that is running this product, is going to be presented with a beautiful dashboard and configurable dashboard, that when he or she logs in, he sees this. So Steve, before we go into an attack scenario, could you give a few seconds on what this dashboard is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Amar, for the introduction. And as Amar kind of rightly put, we are an orchestration product. And what you see as an investigator, as they log in as an incident responder, they're presented with this dashboard. And the beauty of the way we've created our dashboards is they're fully configurable. So you can have a dashboard specific to an investigator or an incident responder. And you can also have one for a CISO and an upper management position. So this one here, very, very simple, includes just high-level metrics as well as a kind of little high-level graph showing volumes of incidents that they come in and the type of incidents they are as well. And then you can add in as many dash as you like, or as many kind of graphs as you like specific to those particular roles. And they're all interactive, so you can drill onto a particular incident, or if you move down to one of the pie charts, it's more relevant for a CISO, seeing where his resources are being put to use and where all the incidents are coming through. You can actually drill through to the information behind, going to a little kind of drill down menu here showing, right, there's 2 incidents here that are related to board level members. So yeah, very kind of high level dashboard, yeah.
Excellent, Steve. I guess now what we want to kind of dive into is what happens during an incident. So let's assume we have had a ransomware attack, okay?
Yeah.
And let's go through a bit slowly. Let's go through what happens in the life of an analyst when a ransomware attack, hits. So take a few seconds.
Yeah.
There's a slight delay, but take a few seconds, bring that up, and then let's start, talking about what happens. So if you bring up that screen of the playbook, and then let's take everyone through. We are going to be hit by a ransomware attack. This is the scenario we are looking at, and we are going to discuss what happens when the ransomware, when one of our log sources discovers a ransomware. Polite feedback to the audience. If you have any questions, please ask them, but we will keep them towards the end. But we are now at the live demo. So Steve, let's start with what happens during a ransomware attack.
Brilliant. Cheers, Amar. So as you can see here, we've got a log or a syslog message that's come through from our ArcSight radar, and it's determined that is a ransomware, a piece of ransomware has hit us. And what we've done in Inkman is we're able to create automated rules according to the information we receive from all these different sensors and all these different products. So we're able to interpret email addresses, and we're able to interpret syslog or Ceph messages, and right through to some manual means like engagement forms and whistleblower forms, and also SIEMs. And this one here, we're in an admin view. We were able to access incidents from a variety of different places, like your dashboards, which I showed earlier, as well as the incidents menu as well. But I wanted to show the kind of message as we see it here. So we've got an ArcSight message, it's split out, and it's all these different forms, which is really give us as much information as possible. We've got everything from internal host IPs to external IPs as well. And the great thing about all these functional bits of information that we receive is we're actually able to convert these into rules. So let's drill through to the incident itself. So we're drilling into a ransomware incident. So when I click on this, it will take us directly into the incident holder, and the whole point of the incident container, as we've put it, is you're able to not only store information about the incident itself and able to assign a playbook, you're also able to assign information like asset information, as well as correlating some of those results as well.
Okay, excellent. So Steve, just a bit, there's always a bit of, because of BrightTalk, the way BrightTalk does the live demo, but this is going good. So we're going to go, and if you click onto that screen of the playbook right now, and then we stick with that for a few seconds, but this is now going to talk about, we've been hit by a ransomware, and ArcSight in this particular instance has detected the ransomware, and then the analyst now does what?
So the analyst has already got information at his disposal, and the reason he's got that is we've already got automated actions that are already running as a part of the playbook that we've created. And you'll see this in the kind of top right-hand little graph here saying you've got 3 successful automated actions already run. And that's great. Sorry, Mar, what you going to... So the beauty of this, we've got this graph that shows these 3 actions that have been added. And we've also got some options like semi-automated actions. So we tend to see semi-automated really be used for more of a, more of the containment procedures. So some companies are a little bit more cautious in terms of how they would approach some of the containment activities, like blocking firewall ports or sandboxing users. So there's the alternative there. As we move down.
So Steve, slowly, before we go into what happens in each action, what are these categories? If we take a few seconds and we look at the categories, there are several categories. And I think, as I understand, these categories are based on a standard.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So it's based on
the whole approach.
Yeah, this particular playbook is based on the NIST 800-61 standard. So as we move down, you'll see there's different categories. We've got 5 different categories. We've got detection analysis, we've got containment, remediation, recovery, and post-incident. and they've all got sub-actions beneath those according to this particular standard.
Yeah, so let's just stick on that screen for a few more seconds. We're trying to synchronize everything. So we've got post-incident from the bottom up. We've got recovery, remediation, and then we've got, if you go up a little bit slowly, we've got containment, and we have, at the first stage, is detection and analysis. Yeah?
Correct. Absolutely right. And the beauty of the way we've got a number of different playbooks. We've got over 100. We actually have a department in DF Labs, and their kind of focus is purely for creating playbooks to industry best practice and kind of international standards. So although this one's built on the kind of NIST 800-61 standard, we also have playbooks designed around the ISO standards and many more, like the CREST standard as well. So we've got a number of different playbooks, and the beauty of the way we've implemented the playbook feature is you can apply whatever standards you need, and you can also use these as templates. So you could not only have to follow this line by line, but you can also add your own actions, and you have your own templates. So if you have some additional best practices in-house, you might want to apply those actions on top of these industry best practices. Yeah.
Excellent. I've got a couple of questions, but let's go through. Now we're all looking at the same screen, and we've got the playbook. A ransomware has been detected. An alert came in through ArcSight, and now we have the playbook that's already been designed according to a standard, right? NIST. Yeah. We said NIST 800-6.1 or 61, I think, and now we are going to go through each action. Could you take us through? And the beauty about what I like about this, and like I said, I use it myself, right, is I like the automation context to this. So whoever's listening in, I'm sure you can relate to the fact during an incident, one of the biggest headaches is how do you enrich the data, okay? Apart from repeatability, consistency, how do you ensure that the data during the detection and analysis phase is enriched with so much good information that you can then, it saves you time, but also it does it automatically. So tell me what happens here, Steve.
Absolutely. So we've got a number of these different actions that have been applied. And if we go into details, you actually can drill in and find out the information from this. So in the parameters here, I've actually pulled information directly from the actual syslog event that we saw earlier. And if I show details, you'll see the information behind it. So this is a piece of ransomware, and we've detected an external IP address. So more than likely, that's going to be a command and control server.
Slow down a second. Sorry, slow down a second. Right, okay. So what are we seeing on the screen? Yeah.
So you should see the ISP information there. So I've done a lookup of where this particular machine or where this IP is located to.
Yeah.
And you can see, right, this is located in Southeast Asia. That starts to raise alarm bells for me. I'm based in England, so this starts to send alarm bells to me and thinking, right, so what do I need to do next? This is quite terrifying stuff, and the headless chicken syndrome really comes into effect here. It's like, guys, we've just been...
But sorry to interrupt you, all of this information has been, what do you call it? All of these informations have been automatically enriched?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's already happened before we've even got into the playbook. All this information has gone off and been run, and all these actions have been run automatically. So when a responder, an incident responder, or an investigator comes in, he's already got everything at his disposal in terms of knowledge in order to move through to the next steps.
So what I like to think about this, and when I do this demo myself, the beauty about this is, and I think even Mr. Fowler, who's listening in, also says the same thing. Someone with 20 years experience, 5 years experience, 1 year experience are all going to follow the same approach. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, I think that is one of the key tenets of response is instead of making it up while it's happening. How many of us have been in that position before? I put my hands up many years ago. I used to make it up as it happened, right? Yeah. Many years ago. And that's not the right way to do things, because you make it up when it happens. Yes, you are experienced, but someone coming in has no clue. has no ability to tap into your knowledge. And the other, if you imagine a big fat playbook with 500 pages during an incident, no one has the time. Okay,
No.
if I've been through so many of them, the last thing anyone wants to go is how do you read a 500-page book on how to respond to malware? And then this is what I like about this is the ability for a 1 year, 6 months, 20-year experienced individual analyst and coming in and being able to start resolving, remediating incidents. So what happens next, Chris? Sorry, Steve.
Sorry. No worries. So, and you're absolutely right. The whole point of these playbooks is they're an ongoing process. You're always updating them, and you understand that once the last kind of incident has been successfully resolved, you've got criteria there that you've got to follow, and once you repeat it, you might find out, oh, we need to do an additional step, or we need to refine a step. And that's the point. These guys with 20 plus years of cyber experience are going to update these workflows and update these playbooks and run books. And then the guys that come on board, the new guys, the guys that start, a day or two ago, they're able to go into a playbook and run these tasks as would a 20-year-old.
Sorry, what happens next? So identify host. Let's quickly go through some of the actions so that we can, share what happens during a ransomware attack. So identify network.
Absolutely. So next step I'm going to do is locate where the command control server is. So if I go into view details, it'll actually go and bring up the map of where this particular command control server is actually located. So we can see here, it's actually in Indonesia in the National Museum. So again, it kind of just triggers another kind of red flag for me saying, right, guys, with Southeast Asia, it's starting to really kind of raise some real red flags with me. And, or what do we do next? What's the next steps as a member of the SOC? And the things I start thinking about is we start need to leveraging all of our kind of components that we have at our disposal. So here, I'm actually going to go and leverage Carbon Black. And they've got a nice little feature where you're able to go and list the processes on a particular host. So if I go and click on that, I can view the details again. And the great thing is, all these automated actions, you'll have a record of when they've been run, and you can run these as many times as you like as well. So if 5 years down the line or 5 minutes down the line, you want to run these again, you can do. That's quite neat for these kind of additional functionalities. For instance, showing the processes, and you'll have that as a part of the incident. You'll see all the processes that are run at a particular machine.
We will answer them towards the end of the demo. I want to carry on with this pretty exciting demo. I love this product. Okay. What happens then now? So you've done the whois, command and control. We've seen the geolocation.
Yeah.
Now what?
So now, what I want to do is I think we probably need a little bit more information before we go into containment. So let's just run an action here. So we can go and add an automatic action at this point. So I'm going to say get user info. And then
so hold on, are you just to reiterate, you are adding your own action to the playbook?
Absolutely. I'm going to add another action to the playbook, and this is going to follow a predefined task. So it's going to be an automatic action where we're going to use and leverage one of our components. So I'm going to leverage Active Directory for this instance, but again, you could leverage kind of Palo Alto firewall or Carbon Black or whatever your security products are that you're using internally. And I'm going to get the user attributes here. So I'm going to use this particular function. I'm going to call this particular Active Directory server. And in here, I'm actually going to type in a user I think might be related to this particular host. And so you'll see here, this is all ready to go into this automated action. So once we put done, we'll get asked to update and save the playbook.
Okay, just slow down for a few seconds, yeah? I'm just trying to synchronize what the viewers are seeing. Okay, this looks good. So basically, you have put in a new action that says get info of the user who's been affected, and you have linked in to the AD Active Directory, right?
Correct, absolutely. So in here, I can now select to run this. So I'm going to run this action, and once I click a little play symbol here, this will just refresh, and it will run this action in the background. and we should have the results shortly. We've got results one of one.
So you clicked on the play, so that play thing goes in an actions thing, right?
Absolutely. So go and view the details. So username MZ, and then we see, right, Michele Zambili is the particular user, and that was when his last logon is. So we can correlate that information to when this particular ransomware is hit, and saying, right, is this guy, is this information, enough to move forward in containment? And I think right now it probably would be. So I think I've got the user that's related to this particular host machine. I know where this particular command and control server is communicating to.
Yeah.
And now we start thinking, right, so what do we do in terms of containment? So we've got a number of
we've done the detection and analysis, and now we've got into containment. And I repeat, the whole beauty about this to me when I get really excited is anybody can do this because it's taking you through the steps, and you're reducing your human error rate. Okay, to me as a CISO, that's really important, and to an organization also. If this is an attack with GDPR, if you don't get this thing right, you could be in for a massive fine.
Yeah, and you make a really good point. Absolutely. And you make a really good point because compliance is also state-specific as well. So in the United States, they've got different laws and procedures in Georgia as they would in Florida. And with us in Europe, we've got to, if there is a data breach, we've got to alert the data protection officer, and we've got to alert the relevant authorities at that point. So that's the point of the playbook. We try and enforce as much as we can to make the investigators and the incident responders' jobs a lot quicker and a lot simpler to do. And so as we move into containment, the next step is we've got all the information we need. Let's move into kind of containing the incident and trying to mitigate in this circumstance. So in here, we've got a number of different actions. And what we talked about earlier was we've got automated actions to run in terms of blocking ports on a firewall and sandboxing the victims. But we understand that a lot of businesses are not too comfortable with running fully automated actions for these particular functions. You don't really want to go ahead and block a port or file automatically, because if the ransomware is communicating over port 80, you're going to cause a lot of disruption to your organization. That's something you don't want to have more headless chickens than before, and that's generally what happened.
No more headless chickens with this kind of thing.
And then from here, you can authorize or you can reject this particular action, and you can do the same for sandboxing the victims, etc. So say sorry to interrupt you. This authorization approach is to ensure that you have certain authoritative folks making sure that if you do take a disruptive action, people you could have automated it if you fully have every process tightened, but most people don't have processes tightened. So this one allows you to do semi-automation or semi-automation, and allows folks like the CISO or someone above that to make sure that they can authorize this workflow. Yeah, absolutely. Making sure the relevant authorization is taking place in line with company procedures. Absolutely. And it's making sure it's a conscious decision. You don't just want to, unconsciously just go and sandbox a CEO's machine willy-nilly. It's going to cause him to get you on the phone at 12 o'clock at night, like I'm sure you've had them on. So just 1 second, stay on that screen. So we've got block, port, firewall, sandbox victim, and to repeat, you could, if you want, obviously put your own action in there. Absolutely. Let's do it again. So we can go through to the automated action. We can go through and say, right, we're going to block user. And again, we can have an authorizer if you want to have an authorizer, or we can go through to a particular action type. So we've got enrichment. Containment is the one that is the most prevalent at this point. So let's click containment.
Containment,
So once we've clicked containment, we'll bring up different set actions that we can go and follow. So in here, we've got a number of different actions.
Give a few seconds. Just hold on a few seconds. Let's read some of them. Okay.
Absolutely. So we've got everything from blocking URLs or blocking particular applications, ports, right down to unblocking the reverse of this, resetting passwords, etc., disabling users, and ultimately quarantining endpoints and sandboxing those particular endpoints out. So this one was block a user. So let's just disable that user for now.
So I just want to ask the audience, is your presentation still going on? I think there may be an issue with BrightTalk. Can some of the audience members please say yes? We've got over 150 people watching now. Can you please say yes? You can see everything. Any issues? We've got questions coming in, which is very good. But let's take a few seconds. Yeah, okay, it seems to be working. Yep, excellent. Okay, yeah. So it's all good.
All right.
Right.
Brilliant.
So what happens after containment now?
So as we click on this action, we
Yes.
can start disabling this particular user and go and select MZ again, the guy we've already seen previously. Click done. And once you save that, it'll go and run that particular process.
Excellent. Okay.
Set myself. So in a couple of seconds, it should refresh.
Excellent.
And in here, you see you've got the little block user, and again, we've got the little symbols to authorize or reject.
Yes, or reject. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So we're getting, yeah, okay. So what happens next now? So we've done containment, we go remediation.
Absolutely. So we start
Yeah.
going through some of the more manual actions, like removing the particular infection. And if you need to re-image your machine, you can do at this point, and then start your recovery processes off, and start going through and kind of restoring the kind of normal day-to-day kind of business as usual operations.
Excellent. Okay. So I want to move on to, I know we could spend a lot of time on this, and there are over 100 playbooks, right? Which is, again, I think to me that's amazing. But what's really amazing is the consistency element, the ability to keep this consistent, the force multiplier, and the ability to take someone with 1 year experience, with 20-year experience, and empower them rather than expect them to know everything what to do or read a 500-page playbook. So tell me, now that I've done this incident, now traditionally, and I'm just presenting some random figures here, a ransomware incident with a couple of headless chickens, everyone panicking, would have cost me about $50,000 to $80,000 in man hours or woman hours,
Right.
as people would like to say. How do I figure out the cost of this? How do I track this and demonstrate, that I'm getting value from this?
Absolutely. So we have this little documentation section down here, and we've actually got assessments, so we can go through and actually go and understand how much time has been spent on each task on a per investigator basis. So if we click on this little task assessments, the beauty of this particular one, because we've got all these automated tasks, they've taken no time to run because they're automated. And then we've got the little manual tasks that have gone ahead that have taken just a number of hours here. So we can report up and say this particular incident has cost us just under $4,000 US dollars to resolve.
Right.
And that's a quantifiable number, which is the kind of big thing, is actually knowing what the number is, and being able to present that is absolutely huge.
Yeah. Most people don't calculate the cost of an incident because they're not able to keep track of it really well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And because it's all a part of our process and part of this particular platform, we're able to retrieve this information, just plug it into some inline reports. And we've got a number of other reports as well. For instance, you're able to see the timeline of events.
Yes, so that's interesting. So what's the timeline? So I can actually walk through exactly what happened during an attack and what I did.
Absolutely. So you're able to keep track of when everything's happened, and it's basically an audit trail for the incident itself. So you can go through and see, right, exactly when the incident was created, who the investigators were added onto the incident itself, when the automatic action had been run. You can see the categories here of when these particular actions have been run, and also who's been created by as well. So automation engine has run these particular actions, these 3 actions that we said about, and then you got myself actually running these tasks and completing these tasks, and you see some of the new events, like this automated engine again, being able to get sys user info. in this particular playbook. So that's really quite cool, being able to show this in a very step-by-step process. And also with all of our reports, you're able to export these, and you're able to put this into a little timeline report, XLS report, or an encrypted PDF if you have the keys enabled.
And just to give an example of why such a product or such an approach is important, folks, if you imagine an orchestra, right? I was going to put that image in the PowerPoint, but anyway, if you imagine an orchestra, you've got several different people playing different kind of music, but you've got one individual in the middle managing them, if I may, orchestrating the whole symphony, the music. And imagine something like this talking to your endpoint, Carbon Black, Cyber Reason, your SIEM, your antivirus product, your log repository, and your malware product, etc., and bringing everything together and orchestrating. You do this, you do that, you go ahead and shut down the firewall, automated, semi-automated. Imagine the efficiency. And to me, as a CISO, this can actually allow you to grow your team rather than actually shrink your team. But more importantly, it can allow you to empower the team. And that really is interesting. I've got many questions that I'm going to bring in Dario. So, Dario, are you there? Dario Forte is the, he knows a lot of ISO standards by heart. When he can't sleep, he's writing ISO standards. Dario, quick, Dario, quick introduction about yourself, and then let's go through the questions. I'll read them out, and you give some answers. There's some very interesting questions.
Thank you very much, Amar, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm the CEO and founder of DF Labs, and I'm also honored to be part of the editor group at ISO SC27 WG4, which is the work group that takes care of this part of the information security, the domain, and I'm one of the co-editors of several ISO standards. So I see that there are many questions here from the audience. I really thank you then for making this question. So you wanna go over the questions, and I will try to answer the best I can.
Okay. So the first one: is there any workflow approach to assign incidents to CIRT members based on some specific criteria or round robin?
Okay.
Quick answer to that.
The answer is yes, and both. From a specific criteria standpoint, we can assign workflow and tasks based upon a group and users, and that is mostly the other two rules that are applied for a matrix, which is composed by type of incident, complexity of incident, and so on. That can be rule-based, but also round robin can be applied as well, and that is conducted adopting a method which is called queuing, which is calculated by an algorithm that takes in calculation several factors that starts from the workload of a specific group versus priority versus type of incident. So again, both approaches are allowed by default, and there is no need for customization.
Thank you. The next one: are these playbooks and playbook updates coming out of the box or purchased separately?
Okay, a couple of remarks here. First of all, the platform comes with a set of pre-built playbooks, and then there is an annual subscription service that customers can subscribe in order to have additional playbooks and knowledge-based documents that comes directly into the software and that can be automatically pre-assigned and assignable. There is an important thing here to clarify. Playbooks can be also created by users and shared between constituencies. It is an open format, and there is no need for coding unless there are advanced users that have coding capability, and so we have also a code editor that is available to do that. But again, we have over 110 playbooks at the moment out of the box available depending from the type of subscription, and we have an annual subscription service that can be purchased, where we provide dynamic update of the playbooks. We have a dedicated group of people only for that.
Okay, I like that, and I like the fact that you can edit your own. You can add your own. Every organization has unique processes that they've been doing, and you can add them in and make this your playbook. So you don't actually have to only use what they give you, which is what really good. The next question, Dario: if an artifact is discovered later, will the playbook tasks have necessary updates? Example: we have a malware incident at the beginning, but afterwards we discovered that personal employee records were leaked. So will the playbook have necessary investigation and action updates dynamically? Interesting question.
Yes. It depends. From how you build the playbooks. The first thing to clarify here is that you can add actions and group of actions dynamically within the execution of a playbook, as Steven shown before. And but there is also the possibility to chain playbooks depending from the type of scenario. So the answer is yes, absolutely.
Excellent. That's a good question, actually. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it is a very good question.
Is there an included third-party integrated action library like Carbon Black, I think, which we did mention, example you made, or are all professional services-based implementations?
The philosophy behind DF Labs product is that we don't want customers become a slave of the vendor. So we provide over 70 different third-party integration available already out of the box, which are available again without any need of professional services, and we eventually can create connector to custom application, for example, or other different type of tools that are not currently in the list. Just for your information, we have a pretty quickly updated list. We add 5 to 10 third-party per month, and some of them will be, by the way, announced in the next week. There are a couple of very important partnerships that we are going to announce. So again, the answer is yes. There are many out of the box available, and we also expose our own API in case the customers are looking for integrating our product with their existing product.
Excellent. Another question. Is it possible to apply actions based on the incidence taxonomy or any other parameters? Apply actions based on the incident taxonomy.
Yes, the answer is linked to one of the answers that I gave before. They can depend from the type of playbook that is originally applied, depending from the rule, or they can be single actions that can be linked, created, and actioned within the execution of the playbook. So it is absolutely yes. If any other parameters means conditions and similar other items, I will be happy to eventually to answer to a follow-up questions about it. The answer is yes. Depending from the circumstances, it is also condition-based. Okay.
Any other questions? So we're going to keep this. I mean, we've had 45 minutes of the presentation. If there are any other questions, now is your chance. Obviously, you can get in touch with us later. Amar at CM-Alliance, or I've put some other email addresses on the below, and we will try to answer them. This was a demo of what we use and for incident management. To repeat a couple of points, Steve, I'm going to take it back from you, and I'm going to go back to the slides, is about the ability to actually empower your employees, your SOC analysts, and to get it right. Moving forward, you really cannot get this wrong. And unless you take a structured approach, whatever you use, let's be really honest here, unless you take a structured approach, unless you can have the orchestration, okay, it's a new terminology for many, unless you have SOC orchestration, incident orchestration, the ability to command different products, okay, to me, keeping it out of the SIEM ecosystem is really important. One question I've had before, our SIEM does a bit of orchestration. to me, that is, in fact, that is a bit of a problem here, right? To me, an orchestration product, as you can see in any music orchestration, is one separate individual, okay? So that you can keep that, you're not reliant on the SIEM or log management product to help you. Okay, one more question has just come in. What about threat intel services? Dario, if you're still there, we got Kaspersky, iSight, BotTrack, VirusTotal are well-known intents. Do you use them? Can we integrate with them?
Yes, they are usually integrated during the enrichment phase, and moment we have a partnership with many providers. For example, Threat Connect, Threat Grid from Cisco, and VirusTotal is mentioned here. We support VirusTotal, and fully compliant with Stix and Taxi, and we also support MISP. So the platform is absolutely open to CTI integration. We have many use cases that we will be more than happy to discuss probably in another webinar if we will allow it to do so. So the openness from Deep Labs to CTI is absolutely 100%.
Excellent, and that's a good point. See, the Taxi integration, and actually a lot of these feeds also provide APIs and other compatible formats. So it should be, and as the person who raises the question, it's very critical in the enrichment phase. Enrichment is one of the most time-consuming, activities, and if you can automate as much as possible, it really helps in getting this right. But more importantly, if you look at it from the regulation point of view, to me, consistency, repeatability, evidence. Okay, Dario, can I update and upload evidence? So once I'm doing a presentation or an investigation, can I then store the evidence on the product on Inkman?
Yeah, this is an important differentiator we have. We have a complete forensic support part, so you can upload evidence at any time. The part of the platform that supports forensics is written in full compliance with the ISO and NIST documentation for forensic management. So that is very important, especially in this particular period where the certainty of evidence is important also for Security Operations Center and CSIRT.
Okay. If there are no more questions, so we wait a few seconds more. If there are no more questions, I think hopefully everyone, to me, making a webinar is really important, educational and informative. And I think we've hopefully achieved that. Do leave some feedback for us, and you should be able to contact us if you have any questions to me directly or the emails that I've said in there. Dario, Steve, thank you very much. And thank you to the audience.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.